Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I am here to declare that God created us male and female in His image. He created us. What you're hearing is the outcry from the demons and those that worship evil, that are abusing our children, brainwashing our children to believe the lie that comes directly from Satan.
Yes, invoking Satan. In other words, another normal day for Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene. But in this case, instead of spewing her bile and blasphemy on the floor of the U.S. House or at some wackadoodle conservative conference, Greene is going full right-wing lunatic on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court.
I pray in the name of God, Jesus, I pray the Supreme Court does the right thing, upholds Tennessee's law, and we protect our kids going forward. Thank you, everyone.
If only that siren was coming to take her away, with mental health staff using a straitjacket. Anyway, the U.S. Supreme Court just heard arguments over a Tennessee law that bans gender-affirming care for minors. The justice's decision, expected in the spring of 2025, could affect similar laws enacted by another 25 states. A ruling upholding the Tennessee ban would hurt the lives of transgender people by blocking medical care and by limiting which bathrooms they can use. The case is being weighed by a conservative-dominated court after a presidential election in which Donald Trump and his allies, including MTG, promised to roll back protections for transgender people. In arguments that lasted more than 2 hours, 5 of the 6 conservative justices seemed to support the Tennessee ban on gender-affirming care. The justices were skeptical of the arguments by the Biden administration and an ACLU lawyer challenging the ban. So there's every indication that the Tennessee families fighting the ban and trying to protect their transgender kids are going to lose this case.
The Supreme Court is now weighing the fate of a blockbuster case involving transgender rights. At the center is whether it's constitutional for Tennessee to ban children and teens from receiving gender-affirming care, which can include treatments like puberty blockers and hormone therapy.
Oral arguments wrapped up here a short time ago with lawyers for the Biden administration making the case that the law is a form of sex discrimination, while Tennessee said lawmakers are justified in denying medical care for people under 18. And a ruling here could have significant implications across the country as well. You have more than half of U.S. states adopting similar laws banning gender-affirming care.
That's right. Conservative Justice Samuel Alito, a self-proclaimed expert on transgender care, does not think such care is necessary. According to survey data, in the United States, there are an estimated 1.3 million adults and 300,000 teens aged 13 to 17 who identify as transgender. The Tennessee law, adopted in 2023, prohibits young people from using hormones and puberty blockers for gender transition care that most leading medical organizations say are safe and effective, but that the state characterizes as unproven and risky. The challenge to the Tennessee law was brought by 3 transgender teens, their parents, and a doctor who treats young people whose gender identity is different than their sex assigned at birth. The constitutional issue in this Tennessee case is whether the law violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which requires the government to treat similarly situated people the same. The court's 3 liberal justices seem solidly on the side of the challengers, but it's not clear that any of the conservative justices will go along. The liberal justices pushed back against the assertion that a state legislature should decide this, noting that the United States has a long history of state legislatures passing discriminatory laws that were overturned by the courts. The justices also addressed the actual medical impact and social impact of the Tennessee ban.
Justice Sonia Sotomayor highlighting potential harm of withholding treatment.
Some children suffer incredibly with gender dysphoria, don't they?
Yes, it's a very serious medical condition.
Some attempt suicide?
Yes, the rates of suicide are striking, and it's a vulnerable population.
By all accounts, this case will be a landmark one, not just for the rights of the LGBTQ+ community, but also for the precedent that could be set. And for all of the thoughtful arguments and questions during the court arguments, conservatives are licking their chops at the prospects of bringing other issues to the court, perhaps even an effort to roll back gay marriage. The far right is energized and hyped up at the prospect of turning America towards their Christian nationalist views. And so, narrow-minded extremists like Marjorie Taylor Greene are on the march. They believe they are doing the Lord's work and are battling Satan. Never mind that Jesus preached a far different message, a message of peace, forgiveness, equality, and inclusivity. Would Jesus have wanted to help a transgender teen? Well, that's clearly not something Marjorie Taylor Greene and other right-wing extremists have ever considered. And that's because MTG and others like her are too busy trying to frighten Americans around people who are different. Divisiveness and hatred may help MTG get some political attention, and we've certainly reached an era, thanks to Trumpism and the U.S. Supreme Court, where progress and equality are going to take some steps back. But the arc of history will bend back towards progress. And in the long run, the stupidity and lunacy of Marjorie Taylor Greene will help. Because even though most Americans may not care about transgender care, most decent human beings do not want to be associated with the hatefulness and apparent craziness of Marjorie Taylor Greene. By the way, Donald Trump's pick to be the FBI director is running into some new problems.
Kash Patel, perceived by many to be deeply dangerous because he has indeed, as you note, no qualifications for this job. Many of Trump's former aides said as much 4 years ago. But Patel, I'm told, and I'm talking to people in the orbit the last couple of days, there is no ideology. There's no agenda here other than retribution. Patel's one defining characteristic is that he is simply loyal to Donald Trump. And even inner circle Trump members of the last few years have been startled by Patel's willingness to simply do whatever Trump wants.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.